Hey, welcome to another edition of Rock Docs. On the last one, I talked about Michael Wadley's epic documentary about the Woodstock Festival. This one, I'm going to talk about D.A. Pennebaker's Monterey Pop, about the festival that started it all in the 60s, the first real big festival. And one that's sort of, along with the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper, kind of mythologized the 1967 Summer of Love. D.A. Pennebaker is a great documentarian. He did a lot of experimental films, and then he became a part of the direct cinema movement, which Albert and David Mazel's became a part of. His first real big film was Bob Dylan, Don't Look Back. And that was following Dylan on his UK tour of 1965, early 65. Concert stuff, basically Dylan, microphone, simple camera setup, that's it. D.A. Pennebaker says in the audio commentary on this excellent Criterion Collector's Edition, Deluxe Edition by the way, that this was the first time a lot of them had shot rock and roll, and he had a lot of a huge camera crew, and on how to shoot this. Now, the performances in Monterey Pop are iconic. They really are. Jimi Hendrix's performance, Otis Redding's performance, The Who's performance. Shot with the way he shoots these performances. A lot of close-ups, a lot of intimacy with the cameraman and the performer. And just, you feel the energy and you feel a connection between the audience and the performance. Concert footage in this stuff is impeccable. And they shot a lot of footage. This Criterion Edition comes with a second disc, Jimmy Plays Monterey, the full concert, and Shake, Otis at Monterey, Otis Redding's set. He captures a lot of great documentary moments, unlike Woodstock, which is, in its director's cut, is close to 4 hours. This is a tight 79 minutes. A lot of interviews with a lot of cute young girls, actually. Cute, hippie, flowers in their hair, young girls. And capturing this sort of, like I said, 60s hippie-dippy, going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair kind of vibe. The Monterey Pop Festival was organized by John Phillips and Lou Adler, and the big difference between Woodstock, Woodstock originally did start out as a money-making venture that turned into something else. This was basically a non-for-profit. The money was going to charity. The only artist that really got paid was Ravi Shankar, but everybody else was pretty much doing it for charity, a foundation that they had set up. And even the movie, unlike Woodstock, which was distributed by Warner Brothers, a major Hollywood studio, was distributed independently. A great documentary sequence where John Phillips is trying to get Dionne Warwick to commit to the fest. Like Woodstock, the performances are not done in order. The film begins, the first concert footage you see is the Mamas and the Papas. Mamas and the Papas actually closed the fest on Sunday night. Interesting lineup for the Monterey Pop Fest. The DVD has got, the Blu-ray and the DVD have a lot of bonus stuff, and they organize it according to day. The association actually opened the fest on Friday night. People don't think about that. When you think of Monterey Pop, you think of Hendrix, you think of Janis Joplin's star-making performance with Big Brother and the Holding Company, Jefferson Airplane. Association opened the fest. And why not? It was a celebration of what was happening in pop music at the time. The booklets that come with this talk about the sort of feud that was happening. A lot of the San Francisco-based bands thought it was a money-making sellout kind of thing, and they didn't want to participate because some of them thought that the LA bands were plastic. As a film, tight 79 minutes. Camera work is great. You get the Jimi Hendrix, like I said, iconic performances. This is the performance where he lights his guitar on fire and smashes it. And The Who did the same with My Generation. A lot of great stuff here. My favorite performance, though, is the Ravi Shankar performance, the big extended performance, which actually closes the film. They start outside of the fairgrounds. A lot of the booths that are set up with people selling things and giving information about meditation, anti-war stuff. And then it goes inside the venue, and everything was done sync sound, so the audience reactions are pretty accurate to what's happening on stage. So then he cuts to the audience. Close-ups of people in the audience totally enraptured with Ravi Shankar's piece. And then finally, after all that, he cuts to the stage, where Shankar and his tabla player, Alaraka, are going at it, having their dialogue. And the way he films it, a lot of close-ups of the hands, a lot of close-ups of Shankar's barefoot, keeping time to the music, a lot of close-ups. And my favorite shot is towards the end. This girl who's sitting directly in front of Mickey Dolenz, and Mickey Dolenz himself, totally enraptured to the end of the piece when they all jolt out of their seats and give Ravi Shankar this huge standing ovation. If there's a criticism with this film, and you do have a lot of critics that preferred Monterey Pop to Woodstock. A lot of critics say that Woodstock was a myth-making film. It wasn't this 3 days a piece of music like everybody said, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. There's this kind of Monterey Pop versus Woodstock kind of thing, which, you know, there really shouldn't be. They were two different fests. But even some of the artists, like Grace Slick, loved Monterey Pop, hated Woodstock, whereas Paul Kantner of Jefferson Airplane loved them both. Now, this is a myth-making film as well. I mean, the one thing about Woodstock, they did not shy away from the drugs. One could argue that Wadley and his team were slightly promoting it, but it was there, the marijuana and stuff like that. In fact, Woodstock has a montage sequence of everybody rolling and lighting up, cut to Coming into Los Angeles by Arlo Guthrie. This, no shots of people token or doing anything like that. In fact, you got shots of people sharing bananas and oranges with each other and sharing crackers with honey and stuff like that. People setting up tents, skipping, dancing, and like I said, going to San Francisco wearing some flowers in your hair, which was John Phillips's theme for the fest, done by Scott McKenzie. That sort of mentality. It's really this. It really is a myth-making film, and a lot of iconic images of the Summer of Love come from this movie, come from this film. The Criterion edition of this, by the way, if you get this, I will tell you, they go back to the original 16mm camera negative, so the grain is natural, beautiful looking colors, especially from the lighting done by Chip Monk, who also did the lighting at Woodstock and did the stage announcements at Woodstock. So, and the sound, he talks about it in the audio commentary. I think this was a film at the time that had, for a non-70mm film, had 4-track stereophonic sound. Audience comes from the rear channels. It's supposed to convey the sense that you are sitting in the audience hearing this music. Monterey Pop, good documentary, a good piece of myth-making as well, because it really is. But a good documentary, concert sequences shot with energy. It's great to see because it was the first real big fest of that whole late 60s festivals, pop rock festivals. So definitely, if you haven't seen D.A. Pennebaker's Monterey Pop, check out Monterey Pop.